We're just days away from this year's Australian Open, so with that being said, let's take a look, guys, at the women who are favorite to win this year's Australian Open. And just so you guys know, tomorrow we're going to do the same video looking at the men's side of things. But let's get started today with these ladies that are favorite to win this year's Australian Open by talking about the back-to-back champ, the world #1, Aryna Sabalenka. Sabalenka, that power game, perfect for the surface here at the Australian Open. It's going to be very hard to beat Sabalenka. The only other person that I think could give Sabalenka a run for her money we're going to talk about next. But just talking about Sabalenka really quickly, guys, look at what she did at last year's Australian Open. Dominated it, won every single match she had in straight sets. It's going to be really tough to get her out of there. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen very, very, very late in the tournament because I just don't see anybody having what it takes to beat Sabalenka at this year's Australian Open. Except for one person, and that's who we're going to talk about next. This lady, guys, red hot since the end of 2024. It's Coco Gauff. Gauff looked fantastic after splitting up with her coach, Brad Gilbert. As you guys remember, fantastic end to 2024. She won a WTA 1000 event in one of those Asian tournaments. I believe it was the China Open that she won. Then she follows it up by winning the WTA finals. Now here we are in 2025. The momentum has carried over. She looked great in that United Cup. She took it to Iga Swiatek, guys, in a matchup, and I just like the way that Gauff is playing. It's really Sabalenka and Gauff as the front runners right now. But there are a few other people out there that could challenge and could be right in the mix, and I think they're definitely favorites or in this favorites category for this year's Australian Open, like Iga Swiatek, for example, who Coco Gauff did beat in that United Cup, but she does have a win over Elena Rybakina within that same tournament there. So Swiatek, as you guys know, I know there's controversy with the whole doping thing and whatnot, but listen, she's cleared. She's ready to go. If she's healthy, dialed in, I don't see a reason why she can't make a deep run. And you guys know, the further she goes in tournaments, the harder it is to put her away. Also, guys, I do want to talk about last year's runner-up in this category in Qinwen Zheng. Zheng, guys, she has the power game to do good things on this surface. We saw it last year. And she's somebody, too, that had a very good end to 2024. Let's see how that translates here in 2025. But I think last year was such a big thing for Qinwen Zheng and her emergence. She accomplished a lot in 2024. She's definitely going to be now settled in as being one of the top players on tour. And I expect her, guys, on this surface to be a very, very tough out. Also, guys, this next person I want to talk about, I could see going either way. I could see them making a far run, but if you're looking for somebody that's on a favorite list that's going to get upset, it could be them as well. That's Jessica Pegula. When Pegula's on, guys, she's on. Look, she looked great in the lead-up to Wimbledon last year, got upset in that tournament, but then dialed it in for the U.S. Open. She played very well at that Canadian Open, winning that tournament yet again, goes all the way to the U.S. Open final, and then I know things kind of fluttered a little bit. It wasn't the strongest into 2024 after that, but still, very strong moment for her there. When she's on top of her game, she could play with power too, guys. I think she's a very underrated power game. I don't think people give her enough credit with her power game. Jessica Pegula can make some noise at this year's Australian Open. Finally, one other person I'm going to put on this list, because they're finally healthy here in 2025. They haven't played in a meaningful period of time, though, right? We saw them in late 2024, but for the most part, though, banged up a lot in 2024. That's Elena Rybakina. If Rybakina is healthy, she could definitely compete. We saw her make an Australian Open final before. She's still one of the best players on tour. She's never going to be counted out in any tournament that she's in. But again, health is the big thing here. If she's healthy, ready to go, and dialed in, you could make a very good case that Elena Rybakina is one of the favorites as well. So that was your favorites list for this year's Women's Australian Open. Again, guys, that tournament, the main draw gets started on January 12th. I cannot wait to cover this year's event. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to this channel so you'll get more content just like this. And again, reminder, tomorrow is going to be the men's side of things, looking at the favorites list there. And then over the weekend, we'll have an official preview and prediction of both the Women's Australian Open and the Men's Australian Open.